Hey guys, what's going on? This is Mr. Shank, and today what we're going to do is I'm going to showcase a few sharpening tools and possibly some techniques along with the knives that these are capable of sharpening. So today let's get right into it, and what we're going to start with, something simple, something fairly small, and this is something that you can buy in, at the Dollar Tree. You can buy it at Walmart, you can buy it at a lot of places, and this is the Smith's since 1886. This sharpener right here will not only do your knives, right, and you'd hold it like this and the knife goes right into here, you can see it just like that, and on top of that it'll end up doing scissors. This right here, put your scissors in there. I should have grabbed some scissors. I'm going to grab you some scissors and show you once we get through most of this stuff, okay? There's quite a bit. So anyway, how we're going to do this is I'll show you how this thing works, and it will actually work on a lot of knives. So anyway, the first knife that we can try out is, typically you'll see this in a kitchen, so what better thing to have to showcase how it sharpens is a kitchen knife. I was given this for Christmas, and for some reason I love having like a chef's knife. I don't do a whole lot of cooking. Mostly my wife does cooking, and she does a fantastic job, so I try not to fight with her in any shape, fashion, or form, because I love having my belly full, and she's a really good cook. So anyway, let's get to it. I'll show you how this tool will sharpen this knife. So what we're going to end up doing is right here you got your grips, and you're going to grip it just like this, right? And you want to set it somewhere close to like the edge of a table, because you don't want to go down and slice into your table, and this guard is what's going to protect your fingers. So anyway, you'd set it like this here, and then you take the knife just like this, and you'd want to hold it right. That way your fingers are not away from the sharp edge. Also, kids at home, do not touch knives without parental supervision. It is dangerous, so be careful and ask your parents if you're going to play with knives or work with knives in any kind of fashion. So, let's get going. What you're going to end up doing is you'll set this knife into this groove. There's a little groove right here, okay, just like that. And you'll set it down in the groove. And you don't want to apply a ton of pressure. You just want to apply, just the weight of your hand, because the harder you press down in there, the more that steel rips away, and you're not really sharpening it so much as that you're just defacing the edge. So what you're going to end up doing is you'll take your knife and then you'll slide it through there just like this, and you count off how many times, because you just want to be accurate about how much you're actually sharpening your knife. So that's what, 4 or 5 times. So yeah, it's a pretty simple device, and it's really handy, and it does work. You just, like I said, it's all about the technique of the whole thing. Like trying not to cut the tool in half with your knife. Just basically setting it in there and dragging it through. And what it will end up doing, as you can see, this edge is really not. I haven't sharpened it in any kind of way with either this or the next thing that I'm going to show you. But if you're in and you're cooking and you need something quick and easy, that right there will help you to get an edge, so you can make supper, or you can, gut out a deer, or whatever you got to do. Whatever kind of knife you got to have. So anyway, there's that. That's going to get us started. The second tool that I have is kind of going along with this. And it's another thing that you're going to find in somebody that does a lot of skinning, plus what you'd find in the kitchen is a steeler. And it's a really simple tool, and the way this actually works is there's guards right down here for your fingers. So you'll end up holding it just like this. And I don't know, I've seen a couple of different techniques, and you know what, we're going to do something different, because let's switch up knives. This knife, because I'm going to show you this tool, but I'm going to do a different knife. This knife is one that I made for a very good friend of mine, and he wanted me to make him a hunting style knife. So basically I heat treated it, and when I put it in the oil, it actually, you know, etched all this stuff up here. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of a little rough because I had to put it through its paces to make sure the blade was going to, the edge was going to hold up and the blade was going to hold up. And it's, you know, I mean, we're not talking dinky steel here. We're talking 3/16, 1/8 inch 3/16 steel. The wood is actually oak, and this was all done by hand. I hand sandpapered it. Most of everything that you see on this knife I did by hand. So anyway, we're going to get into this. All right, the steeler. And the steeler is actually really good, but you have to be really careful about how much you use it, because a steeler can also ruin an edge. So typically, if you see like in a butcher shop, you'll see steelers in a butcher shop. And a lot of times what you do is you just take the, I don't know if you guys can see this really well, but you'll take your knife and you'll set it just, you know, right parallel to your sharpener. You don't want to go into it, or, you know, if you start angling it up, it ain't even going to touch it. So you want to make sure that you get that edge, like, you know, right onto your steeler. And what you're going to end up doing is you'll slide down both sides, nice even strokes from base to tip, and it will help out that edge. I mean, it will take the burr, because what happens in the end when you're sharpening your knife is that there's a burr that's right up onto this edge, and that burr will fold from one side to the other side. So you have to work that burr down so you get a nice true edge, and that's how you're going to end up getting a sharper knife. But if you only do it a few times and you're not keeping track of your strokes, you know, you're never going to know which side that burr is actually sitting on. And you know, there's a couple of different techniques so you can tell how sharp your knife is and if you've gotten that bevel off. So yeah, anyway, the steeler is one of the tools that you would use to sharpen up your knife, to hone your knife, I guess I should say, hone your knife. So yeah. Alright, so on to the next thing. And this is actually pretty cool. This one I bought, it was probably about 80 bucks, but it was worth every single cent. I love this thing. I mean, I've gotten knives so sharp that you can shave with them. You can shave your face, do demonstrational purposes like on your arm. And the name of this product is 35 year, what is that? Lansky sharpeners. So here, I don't know, maybe you guys can see it right there, just like that. Okay, so let's open it up and let's see what's inside. And so anyway, this is what's inside, guys. And you got your oil, and this is actually pretty cool because this will give you your degrees. And so anyway, this tool here, if you can see it, on this side here, I have to look into the camera. So on this side here, gives you your degrees. I believe it's everything from 30 degrees down to 17 degrees. I love this thing. This thing works awesome because if you want a 20, I think like in the average like hunting edge for a hunting knife is, I believe they say it's between 25 and 20. That's what the research was telling me. So a lot of the knives that I sharpen and I make, I put about 20, 25 on there. So the way this tool works is that you have two tensioners right here, right? You know, that's what clamps the this to a blade. So I'm going to show you. I want to show you another kind of knife, but in this one I'm going to show you two. So these are the knives that my dad had given my daughter because my daughter was going to try to get into hunting. So these are the knives that my dad got for my daughter, which is very nice of him. I mean, that was awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Cheyenne says, thank you, Grampy. So anyway, this is one of the knives that he gave her. And it's one of a two-part kit, which is pretty cool. So anyway, the way this works is that you take this tensioner and you loosen it up, right? So the mouth of this actually starts to open up. And it's pretty self-explanatory. And then what you would do is, in this gap here, you would slide this, and it says that you only want to be like a 1/2 inch down, so that gap is roughly about a 1/2 inch. And the way I do mine is I set it like this here, you know what I mean? That's where I like it. That way I can work the base all the way to the tip of the knife and make sure that everything is getting sharp and not just, you know, sporadic. So on top of that, you'd start off with this tensioner here, and you'd tighten it up, and then it's hard, and so kind of have to set it on the table. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. So you'd set it here, and then you'd tension that one up, and then you have a more defining tensioner in the rear, and so you end up tightening that up. Friendly little side note, these are just plastic, and they're cased over a, you know, threaded rod, and so don't use tools on trying to tighten this up. Use your fingers. If you try to use a tool, you could end up snapping that off, which is going to break your tool. So if you're doing it for money, you're going to spend a lot of time trying to either find something to make this work. So friendly little side note, my suggestion is don't put, you know, Leathermans to this, don't put vice grips, don't put pliers to this. Just use your fingers. That's it. And so anyway, you tighten it up, and it should look just like this, guys. Okay, just like that. And that's how it's going to look on your knife. Make sure it's square, you know. And I usually, when I go to do it, I hold it like this. I mean, there's a hole here, and you can set that on some sort of rod, and then you could just do it like that. But I find it's easier if I hold it in my hand like this. That way, you know, when I'm sharpening, one of these is called a guide rod, and in this guide rod, I'm going to show you how to set it up. But in this guide rod, what that'll end up doing is that goes into one of these slots right here, you know, just slides through, and right now that's on like 20, okay, and it just goes through just like that. It's just as easy as that, and that's what keeps you on 20, you know what I mean? So if somebody says, well, what degree of an edge did you put on that? You say 20, and you show them, it's like, that's a true 20. But it only stays true because you're going to put your finger over the top of that guide rod, just like this here. You know, obviously there'll be a stone at this end, but the way to keep that down and make sure you're maintaining your 20 is to keep like light pressure, not, you know, you ain't going to hulk it down there, just light pressure. And yeah, that's what's going to give you 20 degrees. So in this case, they give you, you know, a couple of different things. Up here is they give you guide rods for every one of your stones, and these stones are awesome. These stones actually work really well. So, you know, each color indicates how coarse each stone is. So on top you got black, you got red, which I think this is, black is coarse, red is coarse stone. Okay, and black is like extra coarse. And then you get into your medium, you get into your fine, and then down here is, it's almost like a ceramic. And that's for when you're gonna do, like, put on like a razor edge or something, you know, to really make sure that burr is gone. So that's the stone that you would use towards the bottom, which is yellow. And I believe it's a ceramic. It's the rest of these, I think, are stones of some kind. I'm not quite sure. So anyway, yeah, in the kit, I mean, they also give you an extra one of these. Remember, like I was telling you about, don't put tools to those, hand tightening. So they give you a spare little, it's almost like a wing nut kind of thing. And, you know, if you break one, you know, hopefully you don't, but if you do, you break one, you know, you got another replacement piece. So the other thing that probably needs to be said is, you know, you're thinking to yourself, well, now you've shown me all that, so what is your technique for using one of these stones? And my technique is, I'm just going to pick this one. I mean, I would definitely not start a knife with it, but this is, you know, just for demonstrational purposes, is, first of all, you got this little hole, okay, right up here, this little hole here, and then there's a tensioner that's right up here. So what you'd end up doing is you'd take your guide rod, and you'd set it in that hole, but that's not going to give you true flat, you know what I mean? Your horizontal won't be true flat, so I usually try to find a flat surface. Yeah, you can see that all right. I try to find like a flat surface just like this, and I'll put one finger here on top of the guide rod that's sticking up through the stone, and in the front you'll have a tensioner, right? So you want to make sure that that rod is coming out, you know, just perpendicular. I don't know exactly the word I'm looking for, but you want it straight out of the front of that stone. And then you put this hand down tight onto that guide rod that's flush against the table, and then you kind of tighten this up to make sure everything is flat, just as flat as you can get it. I mean, you know, unless you're a robot with, like, you know, precision tables and stuff, I mean, it's as flat as it's going to get. And so in the end, this is what it's going to end up looking like, right? Guide rod and everything. So you're going to come back over here to this device, and this device is going to end up showing you, you know, your degrees, and you just pop it in like this, just like that, just like we showed. And remember, put one finger over, not a ton of pressure, but you just want to put enough pressure to hold it down there, you know, securely, and make sure you get a solid 20. And some people, they'll go, you know, they'll do this kind of a motion with it, you know, they'll go back out and keep swooping. I do the sawing method. So for every 10 strokes, it's 20 strokes, because I go in and out and I make simple sawing motion the whole way up. And I'll do that every single one. You know, you start off at 10, and then you decrease by 2, and then you decrease by 2, and then you decrease by 2 until you get down to, you know, the end of your strokes, which is 0. And so, yeah, and I mean, like I said, love this thing. I mean, this kit actually gets these knives razor sharp. I suggest definitely go out and you buy one if you're into hunting, cooking, fishing, all kinds of stuff. And like I said, the other half of that is a fillet knife, right? This one has a cool little fish at the end of it, you know. Love this thing. This is called River's Edge. River's Edge. There you go. I think you can see that. River's Edge. These guys make a fantastic knife. It's a wet grip, rubberized handle in the back. And for, you know, like show pieces, you know, to show this off, you know, they put like this fish handle on it, which is pretty cool, you know. It's a wet grip. It's extremely firm in your hand, comfortable in your hand. And you got the 2 finger notches so you can use it up close, or if you got to get really fine, up here in the, just behind the edge is another, you know, little slot where you can use to cut out and get even more defined on your cutting. Comes with a nice, extremely hard plastic carrying case that you can put on your belt. It's pretty cool. So the other thing that I just wanted to make known is the different types of knives that all these sharpening kits will work on. Is you have a skinning knife, which it will work on. I've sharpened it. I've used this kit here to sharpen up a skinning knife, and so there's my skinning knife. You got your gut hook right up here. You got your beautiful edge down here. Very nice knife. Yet again, like a hard plastic kind of grip, so it won't slip out of your hand. You know, it works really, really well. Great product. And it's Mountain Quest, which is awesome. Love these guys. These guys make fantastic knives. The case is awesome. Wonderful case. Way to go. So, and a lot of people that don't have a lot of big knives, because it's, you know, it's kind of taboo. I mean, if you were walking around, you go down to the grocery store and you had like something like, you know, this hanging off your belt, you know, you're gonna get some weird, funny looks. So a lot of people end up having just pocket knives, you know, and this is, I usually carry this one, or I have one that was given to me by my brother, Rye, which is, you know, the guy's fantastic. I really appreciate everything the guy does for me. And he's also going to be starting to be featured on a few videos that we're going to do for guns. But this knife wasn't given to me by him. This was actually given to me by my dad. Right now I have it in one of my pants pocket. I got out of work and I don't know where the pants pocket is, but he did give me a Kershaw knife, which is nice, very nice. I keep it well sharpened, and I always keep it in my pocket. So yeah, guys, I mean, that's it. That's what I've got for you today. I hope you really like it. Make sure that when you head over to Mr. Shank 335, that you go down there and you hit that like button. Make sure you leave me some suggestions and some comments so I can keep making these videos. You can also follow me on Facebook. I'm going to leave that link down in the description as well. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button that's going to be down below. Make sure you leave your comments. Make sure you leave suggestions. Just love to hear from you guys. So I appreciate all your support. Thank you, guys. And we'll catch you later.